breakfast television this morning, we had a conversation with Mr. Sorry, I'm getting my brain straight. We had a conversation this morning with Mr. Luxon and Chris Chang about Andrew Bailey. Now, last night, I pointed out the very strange, repetitive words that Mr. Luxon was using the first time we looked at this. He constantly referred to Andrew Bailey not living up to his own standards. Remember that conversation from last night, Chewie? Mm-hmm. He really wanted it to be well known that he basically fell on his own sword. He made the decision. He knew what was best. This clip is 2 minutes and 52 seconds. He says that, some version of that, 4 times in this clip. We pointed this out last week with Luxon. I don't know who's advising him, but it's too coincidental not to be a tactic to say the same thing over and over and over again. And can I say one time to Chris Chang, the reporter here, why are you guys in the media not going, like I heard Mr. Luxon this morning, well, I watched it this afternoon, and I just thought, if I had been sitting there, I would have said something like, hey, Prime Minister, you're answering that in a really strange way. Why are you wanting to make it so clear that he didn't live up to his own standard? But they do nothing. They let it go. And he just goes on about, oh, you must have been a bit of ticked off because, like, I don't know Chris Chang personally. I don't really know much about his reporting, but I'm getting a little bit sick and tired of the unprofessional buffheads from the bottom of the South Island being the ones that probably have the best questions for these people.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's us. You're talking about us.
You got that? That was subtle, eh? But I just like how you can sit in front of someone and they actually speak in a way. I mean, maybe he's got a head injury, but even that, have you slipped and fallen this morning, Mr. Luxon? Maybe you couldn't quite go that far, but we'll play it for you now and you see what I mean. It's just very, very bizarre.
Christopher Luxon joins us now. Good morning, Prime Minister.
Good morning, Chris. Good to be with you.
Lovely to have you in the studio for a change. Before we get to that, I want to just bring things back a little bit closer to home.
Yes.
And Andrew Bailey, who announced his resignation yesterday. I mean, he's had a real shocker here, hasn't he?
Well, look, I mean, the key thing is that he identified that he hadn't met his own expectations of his own standards.
And
he resigned to me on Friday night.
That's the key thing.
For that resignation, I think, the fact that he, by his own admission, hasn't met his high expectations,
his own admission, his own expectations,
is actually, he's done the right thing.
Must do your head in, though, the fact that you've had this incident last year in October when he had this run-in with the waiter and called him a loser, and you gave him a second chance, didn't you? And you said, but there's no more. You need to keep those standards. This must be doing your head in.
Well, it was very clearly expressed at the time about what the expectation.
No offence, but Chris Chang, you're repeating it. Must have been doing your head in. It's the second time he said that in 47 seconds as well. This just, I don't know. This feels like a bit performative. Like I've got to ask these questions. It's a bizarre conversation.
Time about what the expectations and the standards were. What's good is that he's recognised that he hasn't met those standards that he holds himself accountable to, and it was his decision to resign. And I accepted that resignation once.
So that's exactly the same answer to the second question, using exactly the same words. This is what happened last week. It's really bizarre.
Detailed the events quickly to me as well.
Do you think there was enough that it should have been announced a little bit earlier because you did find out last week?
Yeah, look, the timeline on this is the incident happened last Tuesday. My office found out late on Wednesday. Then there's a process where
and then my office held on to it to make sure I didn't have to announce it while the house was sitting. That was the other part that he doesn't say that quite out loud.
You need to actually, talk to the affected parties, all of the affected parties. That happened over Thursday, Friday.
I mean, let's put it this way, Chewie. This is the great CEO, yeah? Right, this is the great CEO. Imagine if one of the great CEOs, like high-level management, departments heads, had done something as egregious as potentially technically assaulting someone, and the CEO didn't find out for 4 days. You think that would be acceptable in business? Tuesday, no, Wednesday, never. Thursday, Friday. But the great CEO is telling us that this process was speedy and it was the appropriate way to do it. If I was running a business, like Mr. Luxon still thinks he is, when it's the narrative suits him, waiting 4 days to find out about potentially damaging information that might hurt my brand, I would be ropeable if it took 4 days to get me, which says to me that I'm struggling to believe that he didn't hear about it till Friday night, especially when you put on top of that the absolute gift that sends is the whole house has risen and are on a break, and Monday morning, Tuesday morning, Wednesday morning, he doesn't have to face a fire of questions from the opposition about another one of his ministers. Chewie.
Today's interview run by Luxon this is repeated again and again and again until he meets a media hero, someone who stands up against this. It's just remarkable. It's Mike Hoskings. Mike Hoskings is the one to finally challenge him on this. And I'm sorry, New Zealand media, that's fucking bad. Mike Hoskings is the hero we don't want or deserve. Like, if you're leaving it to him, someone who has been a sycophant for the National Party, to finally go, this is why people have a perception problem with you. Why are you answering this very simple question that I have asked you 3 or 4 times in a row in such a weird way?
Mm.
I mean, we can watch him flail through this. I've got the Hoskings interview if we want to have a look at it, Ben.
Well, let's finish this. Right, it's only got about a minute and a bit to go, and I haven't heard the Huskings one, so I look forward to it.
And then I was informed. Andrew called me late Friday night, and I said, "Look, take
there you go. Call me late Friday night. Yeah."
The weekend and tell your family. It was very, very late on Friday evening. And I think that's entirely appropriate. There are obviously other staff that are impacted by a decision like that. So I think we moved through the process fairly quickly and fairly well. But importantly, he's taken responsibility for it. He's resigned. I accept that. And now we'll have Scott Simpson taking over those portfolios.
How frustrating is it, though? Because you did have that incident last year and you sort of gave him that second chance.
Third time that Chang's asked this question.
And then after the cabinet reshuffle, you said, I've got faith in all my ministers. How frustrating is it for you that you've had to deal with this now?
Well, what I can do is lay out the standards and the expectations, and then people are held to account, and they hold themselves to account. And I was pretty crystal.
Do you know what I mean? It's just weird. This is a PR decision, but I can't see why this PR decision, unless what Luxon's thinking is, I have to make sure I get this as far away from me as possible, so I'm going to keep saying it, but it comes off as staged and inauthentic. But then again, hi, welcome to Christopher Luxon.
Clear with Andrew at the last instance as to what the standard needed to be. The fact that he recognised he hadn't hit that standard and made the decision himself.
He recognised, made it himself.
Did he resign or was he sacked?
No, he resigned. That was his decision. He came forward to me after having gone through, being part of those discussions with impacted staff and came forward proactively on Friday evening, very, very late.
Scott Simpson's been around for a while, but...
Notice that. Very, very late. He said that twice. Why do you think he keeps telling people it was very, very late? It was very, very late on Friday. Why does he have to keep repeating that, I wonder? Is it to try and halt the question of, well, why didn't you tell us on Friday? Well, couldn't tell you on Friday. It was very, very late. It was very, very late on Friday.
Didn't want to wake you. Didn't want to interrupt anybody's dinner or their afternoon tea or their brunch.
Yeah, very, very late.
But he's now stepping up to the plate.
He'd be great.
Full faith in him?
Oh, absolutely. He's been an experienced parliamentarian. He's been a minister before. These are 2 really important portfolios. We have some real challenges in ACC to make sure that we're managing the system well. And the second part is obviously we've got a lot of work ahead of us around the commerce and consumer affairs portfolios because that's some of the key work that we need to do to get more competition into our businesses and into our sectors, which is something we're really driven about.
Now, I get that breakfast is a bit of a fluff in general, it's wake up, have a cup of tea, see what's going on. But yeah, it's like Chris Chang asked the same question 2 or 3 times and Luxon answered the same question 4 times. It's bizarre. I'm looking forward to hearing this Hosking stuff. I'm available. I'm ready for it. I'm here for it.
You're available. Okay. So enjoy. I think I've got this queued up correctly.
Can he hit it? I can't hear it, Chewie. Can you hear it?
Oh, you can't hear it?
I can't hear it, but it might be me.
Chat, can you hear it?
No, look, chat, no, but no audio.
Okay.
You can send me the link if you want.
Yeah, I'll do that. Sorry, chat. I'll remove that.
Just put it in the chat. I'm waiting.
There you go.
Thanks, man. I can see that.
All right, that was a bit of an abortion, folks.
And it was about 3:56. You're right. I saw the time.
Yeah.
I'll just come in here.
Own standards, and that's his decision. So,
actually, we should probably get him saying that again, because it's important to lead into.
Who presumably you at one point thought was good enough to be a cabinet minister.
Look, honestly, he was doing a very good job, making good contributions in two very technical portfolios. I'm sure Scott will carry that on. But look, the reality is you've got to have some standards, Mike. And, I watched the last lot go through a series of ministers, and it wasn't either clear. It was clear in this case, and importantly...
do you really think you should be blaming Labor at this minute? I mean, honestly, do you think that's going to go well? Really?
He recognised that he hadn't met his own standards, and that's his decision. So I respect that. And
would you, because you've got yourself in the usual trouble with you being too nice, would you have sacked him if he hadn't offered to resign?
Well, hypothetical, he did resign.
No, I know that, but just answer the question. Well, would you have sacked him?
Well, he didn't meet the expectations of the minister.
So was it a sackable offence?
Well, I think given how clear we'd been on the first incident about
why can't you just answer the question?
Yeah.
Well, this is why you get yourself reputationally in so much trouble. Would you have sacked him? Yes or no?
I can say to you, he didn't meet the expectations I have of ministers.
So you would have sacked him?
I didn't need to because he resigned.
See, my God. What the fuck is going on?
Isn't this insane? Isn't this insane? It's such an easy question to answer. It would be a phenomenal thing for, he wants to be seen as a decisive leader, someone that's got the stones to make that decision. He could come in and he could just go, it's lucky Andrew Bailey resigned because I was going to sack him. That's how you feel it.
So listen, Occam's razor.
He's got his pet interviewer going, come on, man. How much do you want me to set this up for you? All you have to say is, yes, I would have sacked him. It doesn't have to be a hypothetical. It doesn't have to be like, oh, it doesn't matter because he resigned. The question is, would you have sacked him?
Occam's razor is the fewest number of assumptions to get to an outcome. Why won't he answer this? What's the most likely reason he refuses to answer this? Because you're right, it makes him look indecisive. It makes him not look like a leader. It does nothing positive for him. So why won't he answer this? What's the most logical reason? Because I'm struggling to think of anything other than he's very, very bad at this.
It's baffling. Very, very bad at this is definitely at the top of the list. The other thing is that there's somehow some part of this that is worse that hasn't come out yet.
Okay.
It just doesn't. I can't think of a single reason why he is flubbing specifically this interview.
Yeah.
He did the same on Breakfast. He did the same on RNZ. It is very clear that he has been given his talking points for his media circuit, and that's just been drummed in that we're just going to say the same lines. He doesn't have the intellectual plasticity to sort of go, oh, maybe I should change my tack here because old Hosco here is just lining up a nice fucking just pop it in for me, and I'm not gonna say it because at the meeting this morning they said don't come off your talking points because you're bad if you come off your talking points.
So here's the thing.
Baffled by this.
Yeah, here's the thing. I've taken it back about 15 seconds to get some more of this. We'll push play in a second, but here's the thing, right? What he's saying to us, you've just said it quite well, Chewie, that he won't come off his talking points. Now think you've got the leader of the country in situations internationally, talking to world leaders, making deals who can't come off as talking points. What kind of leader has to stick to a bad script? What kind of leader can't go, okay, we've got this idea. I was down for the idea, but it's not working right now. So I need to have the skill and courage to go a different path with this. And in this instance, the skill and courage is to go, yeah, I would have fired him. That's all. That's all.
It's right there. Like Hoskins is pretty much just holding up a piece of card saying, say that you would have fired him. That's what you need to do. And it's being ignored. Like the frustration in Mike's voice towards the end of this is palpable.
All right, let's get back to it. I've gone back about 20 seconds just to get this in all its glory again.
I know that, but just answer the question. Well, would you have sacked?
Well, he didn't meet the expectations of the minister.
So was it a sackable offence?
Well, I think given
Mike even says to him, "So yes, you would have," and then he still does. He doesn't get it. Mike even says to him, "Yes, I would have." So you're saying you would have. He then doesn't go, "Yes." He still doesn't say it, even after Mike Hoskins tickles the underside of his testicles and says the answer that he needs. He still won't do it even then.
How clear we'd been on the first instance about what
why can't you just answer the question? Well, see, this is why you get yourself reputationally in so much trouble. Would you have sacked him? Yes or no?
I can say he didn't meet the expectations I have of ministers.
So you would have sacked him?
I didn't need to because he resigned.
See what you're doing here? I don't.
Well, no, but you're talking about a specific case, right?
Yeah. Would you have said? Look,
have I done a good job of laying down expectations of my ministers?
Yeah,
yes,
crystal clear. But the next step is really simple. If he hadn't, I'm glad he offered to resign, because I tell you what, if he didn't, I would have sacked him.
He wouldn't have met my expectations as a minister.
Why are you saying it that way? I don't understand.
Yeah,
well, that's what I mean.
I've worked on Mike's show when I used to fill in on the breakfast producing, the technical director for a guy Glenn there who's his full timer, and it does feel nice to actually, now he's saying what we've been saying. Why are you being so weird? That's what he's basically saying. You know that theme through the left in America of Republicans are just weird, and then they dropped it and they lost. He's being weird. This is just fucking weird.
Expectations as a minister.
Why are you saying it that way? I don't understand.
Well, that's what I mean. If he hadn't resigned, I would have made an intervention. I would have actually
why is made an intervention. I would have sacked him.
No, but there's an issue here, which is
what is it?
No, but the issue is that most importantly, the standards are really clear of my ministers. They know the standards I operate within.
And if they don't live up to that standard, I will fire them. That's the sentence.
He'll make
whenever
an
we have personnel issues, I think we've acted incredibly decisively. But what I'd say in this case is I laid down after the last instance crystal clear expectations. He reassured me there wouldn't be another incident. He knew there was an incident. He then actually made that decision himself. It didn't meet my expectations. It didn't meet his.
Count how many words you're using to explain this. This is why you're in trouble in the polls. People want something decisive. And so, look, if you wouldn't have sacked him, say so. Either way, I don't care. But people want from you, the Prime Minister, to go, this is my expectation. I'm glad he resigned, because if he didn't, I would have sacked him.
Well, that's exactly what has happened here, though, isn't it? I mean, like, he has resigned, and I said to him, he hasn't met his own expectations, which is important, right? I want ministers to understand it. I saw examples where ministers didn't know what the expectations. He came to his own conclusion.
Fantastic. Good on him for doing that. But are you the sort of person that would have sacked him if he hadn't come to that conclusion?
I think you've seen me act very decisively on personal issues. That's something I've done all my life. You know, it's critical.
No, that still doesn't answer that. I don't want to get bogged down in this.
Yeah.
Why,
Michael, please get bogged down on this. Please get bogged down on this.
No, that still doesn't answer that. I don't want to get bogged down in this.
Yeah.
Why can't you be decisive enough to simply say, I would have sacked him?
In this case,
or not?
In this case, he resigned.
I know
if that hadn't happened, I would have then been involved with that and would have made a decision to say that he didn't meet my expectations, and that would have
which would have led to what?
It would have led to him losing the role anyway.
So he would have been
demoted and
demoted.
The ministry would have been taken away.
Right, sacked.
Yeah. Well, you would. Yeah, you can call it sacked.
You've made a complete meal of this.
Man, that'll do. Holy shit!
It's very clear at the end there that he does not, for whatever reason, and there's no reason that I can divine, does not want to say sacked.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, he's going up to that, like, oh, there'll be an intervention. I'll be decisive. He'll have his ministry taken away. All of these things. And it's like, yeah, but most people just call that sacked, right? Oh, I wouldn't use that word. It's just weird. It's like Hoskins, Luxon's in the ocean. He's gone down 1, 2, 3 times. He's about to go down for the final time. And Mike Hoskins has got tired from throwing him lifelines. The next one's a brick where he goes, "This is why people don't like you, dude."
Well, in that scenario, it's a brick because actually it would be better for the rest of New Zealand if you had just fucking drowned and got yourself out of there. Okay, there's two things, yeah? All I can think now is you imagine other world leaders seeing this, seeing what our Prime Minister is made of and how he fits. And the other thing is, and I won't say who it was, I might have said it in the past, but I won't. 2 elections ago, when Jacinda was running, where they swept and got a landslide, got the majority for the first time ever under MMP, a very well-known, high-profile female comedian who I was interviewing said to me of the vote, why would I vote for a very average man rather than this exceptional woman? And I'm just reminded of the words, and it wasn't Luxon, right? This is talking the one before. I'm just reminded of the words, very average man. And some of the wordsmiths we've had, back to David Longy and beyond, that were brilliant orators, that would just, even if you weren't on their side, you're in awe of the language that they used. I can smell the uranium on your breath. And now we've got this fucking flub who doesn't know, or for some reason thinks he shouldn't, say, I would sack him. But he'll say everything else around that. It's just, I'm actually a little bit in shock. That's actually equal mix of hilarious and terrifying that waste of fucking space is the leader of our country. I challenge you, national voters, to tell me what you saw in that. What you saw in that conversation for the guy you put in charge.
So next time he brings up national strong leadership, what I want you to do is I want you to go to the kitchen. I want you to make yourself a nice cup of tea. Leave the tea bag in there for a while. Stir it. Enjoy that cup of tea. Put the jug back on. Leave the tea bag in the cup. Make another cup of tea. Drink that. Put another jug on. Use that same tea bag again. And that is the strength of our leader. A piss weak, third time round tea bag on the edge of its life. That's what people voted for. Fuck me. That is shocking.
It is shocking. It is actually shocking is the correct word. It is utterly shocking.
I shouldn't be shocked by this at this point. We've always pointed out that his corporate word salad, his boardroom Scrabble vocab was always going to come back to him. It's always seen as inauthentic. It's just bizarre.
No. He looked like a fucking moron in that conversation. Forget the CEO talk. He actually looked stupid. He looked like he didn't have a fucking clue how to communicate. Like, okay, so he's been given the words from the 9th floor from his PR team, but he looks like he was too dumb and too stupid to see what was put in front of him and the need to change his messaging. He couldn't see it. He's too much of a moron to see. And by the way, Mr. Luxon, you're always welcome on. He's too stupid to see that he needed to have some kind of, what did you say before, plasticity, and actually move with it, because he was digging deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. And then he got to the bottom, and for some reason, he dug deeper again. It was just, I'm a little, honestly, I think that I agree with you, Chewie, that he's bad at this for a long time, but I never would have imagined that bad. Like, I never, if I was making a skit to try and exaggerate all what I would say to you, that would have been the skit, not the reality.